You have got to hear what Mercedes Moné just admitted about her jump from WWE to AEW. Now, look, Mercedes Moné has been a true bona fide MVP type player for both promotions over the years. A multiple time women's champion, a multiple time headliner, one of their biggest paid stars, and arguably one of their most controversial and debatable stars within the fan base. Now, we've heard a lot of comments from Mercedes Moné, but these comments are in particular extremely interesting because I feel like she dives really, really deep into it. Now, look, a little bit of context, a little bit of background. What happened? Mercedes Moné in 2022, alongside Naomi, opted to walk out of WWE. They had a creative dispute with Vince McMahon. Long story short, Vinnie Mac thought it would be a brilliant idea to book his women's tag team champions in a gauntlet type match where Mercedes Moné would win. She would earn a shot at a championship, going to work for Ronda Rousey. Naomi would then challenge for the other women's world title, setting up a match at a later date. Okay, they were both going to be in there. They didn't like the idea. They went, they pitched it. Hey, we don't like this. Vinnie Mac said, tough, deal with it. They said, no, we won't. They went into John Laurinaitis' office at the time, who was head talent relations, gave him the tag team titles and walked out. They both later negotiated their release from WWE. Naomi went to TNA. Mercedes Moné went to New Japan, later signed with AEW, okay, in 2024, made her arrival on the Big Business episode. Naomi later returned to WWE. Moné has since won like 10 different championships. She's held like 8 at the same time, including the AEW TBS Championship. Now, keep in mind, before she went to AEW, she had multiple talks with WWE about returning, what it would look like, because keep in mind that she found a ton of success under Triple H and NXT. Her issues were not with Triple H, they were actually situations and incidents and problems with Vince McMahon. Well, Vinnie Mac was gone by May of 2023, so it's like, who cares? Right? Or June, I forget which. I think it was June. Anyways, so they walk out, they're out. Okay? Mercedes Moné has spoken highly of WWE. The only problem is that any time in which WWE is brought up with Moné from fans, they're always talking about go back to WWE. And it's like, look, this chick is under contract with AEW for like multiple years. What are we even talking about? So Mercedes Moné was on the Marking Out podcast with MVP, and she gave some thoughts on the differences between the locker room cultures of both promotions. And she described the AEW locker room as having hunger and feeling that we're all trying to fight for something. When asked to compare the two locker rooms, she was direct. She said, it's night and day. Okay? She said, when I'm around the girls, it just feels like a community of wanting to make this place grow. There's a hunger because I felt like we still feel so underground. We feel like we want to make it like up here. All these women have so much drive and passion, and I can feel it. They fire me up. She stated that the feeling extends to the entire roster, not just the women's division. And the same thing with the guys, too. Just the energy with the guys, it feels different. And I don't want to say, like, oh, WWE was bad and people were having egos, but it feels like we were all trying to fight for something. We were trying to fight to make it the best. And I love the people who have passion and hunger. MVP, he also agreed with the assessment, adding his own perspective on the mindset of the AEW roster. He said, what I see in the AEW roster is a lot of young talent with chips on their shoulders. They got something they want to prove, and I make no bones about it. You're right. I got a chip on my shoulder, and we want to show like y'all messed up. Okay? That's very interesting. The ability to go out there and say, hey, I'm young, I'm unproven, this is what I'm worth, this is my value. Why haven't you signed me? Why haven't you recognized me? Why haven't you given me my flowers? To a roster in a pro wrestling industry, that's pretty powerful. Okay? But Monet saying, hey, it is night and day between what WWE and AEW is. That's a powerful statement. But she's right. It is night and day. Just like the products are night and day, the promotions are night and day. Everything is different between AEW and WWE. And I give AEW a lot of credit for that because they could have gone in there when they launched in 2019 and said, hey, we are going to be just like WWE. We're just going to be just like them. TNA did that. WCW did that at the end, right? There's been countless promotions that have tried to emulate WWE and it never works and it never will work. Here's why. You come across as WWE light. No one wants that. Okay. Everyone wants WWE or an alternative. If you want to see what WWE's product is, you'll just watch WWE, right? It's not that crazy of a thought. But if you want a true alternative, if you want a true difference, then you'll watch AEW. That's what AEW is willing to give you. Okay, WWE, they're heavily focused on character development and promos. Well, AEW is going to have the best wrestlers. They're going to have the greatest pay-per-views. I mean, and I've been critical of Tony Khan, okay, of booking marathon type pay-per-view events that go 6 and 7 hours long if you include pre-shows, okay, where you have over 4, maybe even 5-hour main cards. Where I think that they put too many matches and make every match go like 15 minutes ridiculous. But by God, when I buy an AEW pay-per-view event, I know I'm getting my money's worth. I know I'm going to see everything that pro wrestling has to offer. Every style, all the abilities, all different wrestlers. I'm going to get my full fill of AEW and pro wrestling. That is what Tony Khan wants to give us. So if you are looking for a wrestling-based promotion, not a sports entertainment-based promotion, well, AEW gives you that. AEW came at a time in which they said, okay, you don't like the WWE product of 2019, we will give you something different. And they took off. And then once WWE got their crap together, well, AEW's popularity took a downturn because WWE is filling that need. Now, I would say in 2025, in which feels like a time in which WWE is just absolutely mailing it in with its product, I think that's why we have seen kind of a resurgence of AEW. Also, AEW has really smartened up and made a lot better decisions with its booking. You have those two combinations, you have a little bit of a renaissance for AEW. So just keep that in mind when we talk about night and difference between AEW and WWE. But I think that Mercedes Mone was spot on here, talking about the difference, the jump between AEW, WWE, WWE, AEW, etc.